It is. They've got one today.
Yes, it did.
It's just them on
I was
camera.
out this morning, but
No. No,
I
it's
had
live.
hit
It's
my
everybody.
cemetery.
You're
I-
okay.
I didn't come dressed for that.
They said it was gonna get, and it's supposed to be much,
Everybody judges.
rain, I think they said.
Yes, they do, but nobody's gonna care. I always say nobody messes with people that really care.
Yeah.
You know, we're all good. But yes, we're
Actually
actually,
stand up in front of people.
no, you can do it from
All
right
right.
there.
Okay.
You're
Turn
No, she has to
No,
come
we're
out
gonna do
here and
center
stand
stage.
up, so
If we can
everybody
please
can
rise and
see
stand
her.
up, please. Appreciate it. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. So we're gonna open up to public comments, so if anybody would like to address the board, now is your time.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what.
If you introduce your.
First time,
That's
first
okay.
timer.
Okay.
Your name, please?
Kim Dice.
Okay.
I got some questions.
Sure.
Okay. Under the ordinance, there's in the definitions, there's the 90.01 that indicates the animal control agency indicates that AWL of Montgomery County has legal responsibility for animal control within the town, whether by contract or by law. So I'm under the impression and have been told that Darlington does not have a contract with AWL.
Correct.
And AWL will not come to Darlington.
They will come when an officer requests them to call out. So say we have an aggressive, well, they're supposed to come if we have an aggressive dog that is trapping people, things like that. You call a county officer, they'll come out. The county officer will call dispatch to have them call AWL and make someone come out and get that specific animal. Is how it's supposed to work. We have had trouble in the past with AWL not responding. I can't remember who it was that had an attack, but
Joy Kane.
Yes, they did not respond, but we confronted AWL about that in a meeting and why we didn't renew the contract because they weren't even coming out for that basic. And we had at that point we still had a contract with them and they didn't come out.
Okay, so the bylaw is just basically the resident calling the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department. And it doesn't have to be an aggressive animal because I've called the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, for a running loose dog.
Yes.
I mean, because there is a leash law in the county.
Yes.
And, correct.
So we don't know at what point the AWL becomes involved?
It should be after when the officer comes to respond and requests them to come out.
Okay.
Is the way I understand.
That's the way it's supposed to.
That's the way it's
But you
supposed to work.
couldn't, since we don't have a contract, you couldn't call animal welfare and report a nuisance dog or cat, and they're not gonna
Okay,
come
I
out here. if
can't
you-
call them directly.
They're not gonna come if you call them.
Okay.
For one, they weren't helping us, weren't doing what we felt like was a very good job, and two, I don't remember what the number is, those thousands of dollars of
I think it was
contract.
5,000,
They tried to increase the contract.
5,000, but they are Montgomery County animal welfare, not just Darlington,
Yeah.
not just Newmarket.
That's
So
what
we
yeah.
figured our decision was because why pay that much money if you're not going to show up, and then you pay that money, but we're all part of Montgomery County. So
And they also
that was-
didn't grow.
that was
you know.
my argument to the officer was I'm in Montgomery County.
Yeah.
Hello.
yeah, they don't. For some reason, they didn't see it that way. So kind of a difference of opinion.
So if we
I
get the
guess.
law involved, then
It should, yes.
we might get something done.
Yes, ma'am.
There's also a definition in this one, 90.02, failure to confine a female animal in heat. Does this in any way, shape, or form include multiple animals, male and female, unspayed and unneutered in the same household?
Being that it specifically says female, I would say it has to be.
And I'm not sure I don't know that you could enforce anything in somebody's private residence.
If you own them, I don't think they're in your house. I don't know how you could force that now if they're wild.
Can you say that, did it say it was running or allowed to run? Did it say, I'm sorry.
They have to
I'm trying to
be
remember what-
kept, let's see how this is worded. Fail to confine any female animal in heat in a closed building so that that animal cannot come into contact with another animal except for planned and supervised breeding.
Yeah, it's a nice house now. I think it's maybe not worded quite
We're finding this out.
logically.
A lot of these were made years ago.
I-
and
yeah,
we're having
yeah.
to revisit a lot of them.
And I'm just asking,
I
I'm
think what it's
asking
tried-
questions.
Probably the idea of the law was that if you knew you had not to let your dog run wild or cats run wild, that
If
you
they're-
knew
When they're
there.
in
Yeah.
heat.
I think that's
That was
what
the
it's,
goal.
that was what the goal of it is. But as far as if somebody has a male and a female in their house and neither one of them.
But if these animals aren't kept continuously confined,
If they're out in town, then that's where that would be enforceable.
okay, allowing animals to run at large within the boundaries. Keeping within the town boundaries any animal by which loud and frequent barking, howling, yelping, and other animal noises disturbs the peace.
And that's meant basically for, I mean, you have a dog that's gonna bark once in a while, but that's meant for people who leave their dogs out all hours of the day and night, and they have a barking dog, you don't ever bring it inside to,
Oh, I've got.
You know what I
I
mean?
just
I
don't
get it.
understand
I
why
get
they
it.
don't.
Yeah.
Thinking out loud.
Mhm.
Let's say. Are there, how many part-time town deputies are there?
Including the town marshal, it's total 3 right now.
Okay, so we've got Kevin.
Yep.
Shelby. And then that new guy. Caleb.
Yes.
Is that one of them?
No.
Are any of them here this evening?
No.
Are they ever present at a council meeting?
We can, yeah, every once in a while. We started the
Liaison.
liaison, a couple of years ago. So that if any issues came about, the board would talk to them directly, but on occasion, we can also request them to come if there's a foreseeable issue that needs to be addressed.
Okay. And is there like a set schedule or how
It's
do
not
they?
really set. They give us a schedule each month of what hours that they're gonna work. And they try to mix it up so it obviously
Not
doesn't
always the
get,
same thing.
so people can't see routines, if you will, but
See routines I get, but is there someone present?
not 24/7.
Okay.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you if that's where you're going.
No, that's what I was just trying to understand if that with 3 of them part-time, if that was a possibility. Or if they try to, like you said, rotate or, because it just seems like there's a lot of times things go on and you never find anybody. And then, when things are nice and quiet, you see them driving around. So we can call the sheriff's department
Absolutely.
when anything we need
Absolutely.
attention.
If we don't have a town marshal on duty, absolutely.
And I was told, I think by one of the sheriffs, or one of the deputies, that if one of our 3 is on duty at the time of the call, they will send them.
If they're not tied up in a call,
Okay.
absolutely, they do try to do that.
I was trying to find in the ordinances, and I couldn't find anything about personal property regarding if you have a privacy fence on your property line between you and adjacent property owner. Is there anything anywhere that's refers to damage to that property, that fence, by the adjacent property? It's my fence.
Okay.
I paid for it.
Mhm.
I had it put up. The adjacent property has damaged it.
And when you mean that, do you mean like weed eating or just trying to understand maybe what type of damage we're talking? If
They've
you know.
decided that they wanted to increase the size of their dog pen.
Mhm.
So they're using my fence and a neighbor's fence two neighbors' fences actually. They've gone and stapled chicken wire all the way around, down around the bottom. And then they have, the way of keeping the animals off of my fence was to lean skids up against my fence. The animals are still able to jump out. They can still get out, and they do occasionally. But I just didn't know about the fence. I know it's minimal damage. I get that, but it's not the way it was when I built it.
My thought on that would be that if you built your fence, which I'm assuming you did, you're supposed to have a setback off your property, so you should actually own, I think it's 2 foot. I think you're supposed to stay off your property line 2 foot.
Okay.
So if you did that, then they're on your property 2 feet, and that would be pretty simple.
I understand that.
They need to, I mean, and if you have to get a cop involved, go tell them that they need to pull off, but I don't think that would come down to a town ordinance.
It's not going to, but I'm gonna advise you of the possible answer that you're gonna get from the sheriff's.
I understand, because it is on the line. It is on the line.
Okay.
It is on the line, and I get that. I understand that, but I just wondered if I couldn't find anything, so I didn't know how that came about. So once a complaint is filed, how long does it take for somebody to go take a look? How long does it take for somebody to get fined?
On an ordinance that you're talking about. So something's changed a little bit with our ordinance officer, who has decided to no longer be the officer. So we're gonna have I'm gonna propose that we're gonna have our police department, because we were just notified a couple days ago, take over that responsibility, which they've done in the past. So starting out, they're gonna start introducing themselves and saying, hey, we're the town marshal. This is your fair warning. Introduce themselves. Try to give them a warning. I think they tried to do within 10 days, check back within 10 days to say, okay, we're kind of giving you this warning. Now you haven't done it. Now I'm going to cite you. And then they have another, once they're cited, is it 10 days, 7 or 10 days to get the action? I'm sorry. I don't know the paperwork.
That's okay. Your particular person's been cited twice, okay, by both officers.
Is that the email that we got? Is that who he's talking
Yep,
about? Okay.
yep. So she's been cited twice, and she has to pay a fine for each one of those,
So
for each occurrence.
Help me with the definition here. A cite is basically like a warning.
A citation.
A citation is a warning, like a ticket.
It's a ticket,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
So she gets 2 tickets.
And
Now
there's a
she's
fee.
got-
There's a fee to
okay.
each ticket that she has to pay.
Okay.
And don't quote me, I believe the date on there is by July.
Okay.
Probably
10.
gives her a month to pay, but I'm
So-
not sure.
She will come down. What happens with the citations is I'm the magistrate for that. So she comes down. Let's say she doesn't want to pay them. Let's say she wants to contest them. She comes to the office on that day and says, I contest these 2 citations. I'm not gonna agree with that or grant that because they're off of the ordinances that the town has.
Right.
So therefore she has to pay those fees. From that point, that goes in. If she says, I'm not paying them, that goes back into the officers and then it gets filed into the county. And she will go, that then takes it up, and she'll go into court with it. So now, I don't know honestly what happens at that point dog-wise, okay? That may be a Kevin question because I really don't know. This is my first time with the 2 citations, but he did explain that part to me, that she has to come in here and have these paid by this date. If they're not paid or she wants to contest them, they'll come down there that evening with me and she wants to contest them. We don't grant it. Then he takes it back over. It's basically like not paying a speeding ticket. It's not paying, it's any other citation. Yeah. So then it's going to take another level. I think the question too would be what happens with the dogs at that point. I don't know. I don't know, but we can find out for you and let you know. Or I can ask Kevin or even our attorney.
Yeah,
because I can't answer that honestly. I don't.
I've called. 2 neighbors next to me have called. There's multiple people that have called about the same situation. And appears to me that it was just recently, within the last 2 weeks, that a fine was actually, she was actually served a citation and a fine.
That's correct.
I would just curious why it takes so long. Because it's been months of people complaining. And I just don't understand the process of,
Was she fined? I didn't hear about these. Was she fined for her dogs getting out?
That's correct. That's correct.
Another thing I couldn't find in the ordinances, the smell of animal feces. I don't know if there's I couldn't find anything as far as a nuisance, as a building, damage to a building. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't find anything. I mean, there's defecating, animals defecating on another person's property, which they have done, which I did not take photos, but I don't know about the smell ruminating off of their property.
We had a property about 3 or 4 years ago that the police got involved with that had the same issue. And I believe that it is under a nuisance under our ordinances. I can't quote that for you 100%,
I can't
but
find
it is something that our attorney probably could quote, but I believe it's a nuisance. And if a nuisance is filed for that, there's also a penalty and a fine. Now, with the police department taking over the code enforcement, it does change the game a little bit according to Kevin, because they can go speak to them personally, give them X amount of days, where the other one was 10 days, give them X amount of days, come back, follow up on that, and then they have the ability to cite right then. Mike Smith did not have the ability to write a citation because he was not an actual he's a code enforcement officer, but
Okay.
not a police officer.
Okay.
And prior to Mike, we had Jim, who was a police officer. So the game kind of changed in there. When Jim left and Mike took it over, he volunteered, then the legality of it changed a little bit, okay?
Yes.
So with the police department being able to take over this new function, it's going to be a little tighter. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little tighter. I'd be happy to, at the direction of the council, if you want me to, ask our attorney about the nuisance side of it, because I know that happened on a property here in town. I just don't remember. I know they did something about it and they had to clean it up. I can tell you all of that,
Well, there is
but
a
I don't
little
remember.
blurb in here when it comes to like a chicken coop.
Yeah, but if
It has to be kept neat, clean, dry, odor free.
Yes. And all of them come back to, you see these little here, all of these are different ordinances.
Refer back to these.
If you refer back to those, one of those is going to refer back to what's called a nuisance.
Okay.
And they all come back to that nuisance, and then there's a fine attached to that nuisance, which would be the fine that Kevin would use on the citation. That's exactly where he gets those numbers from. So
Okay.
he has to go back, and all of them have a fine to them, and then that's what he'll put on the citation. So, yeah.
And is there ever a time when,
If you can hear Jen.
of course, this individual is a renter.
Yes.
Is there ever a point in time when the property owner becomes responsible for the occupant's violations, I guess?
Yeah, when they did it before, that person was a renter as well, and both of them were cited for not taking care of the problem within the 10-day span. Both the landlord and the tenant was. Because they both got hit with the, notification.
So if they get this citation, they get fined, and they pay it, Yep, both of them pay it.
Yep.
Okay, big deal. Everybody's
Right.
happy, move along.
Will fix the problem.
A month later, dogs are out again, or the same thing keeps happening. So this is what I feel like, because this has been months and months. The same thing keeps happening. Now we got a fine. We paid it. Let's move along. Happens again. We get a fine. We pay it. We move along. How does anything ever change? No, it's
And I
not.
don't know that as a town board, that we have any authority to tell somebody they can't have an animal. I mean, all we can kind of do is keep fighting them. We can't tell somebody they can't have an animal. That would
Understood, but
I just don't know what else we could, I don't know what else we could do. I mean, we all feel it. I mean, we know that the animals in this town have become an issue. I mean, everybody, she's had issues. I have a couple living around my house that I make sure I don't feed, but that travel back and forth in that section of town that I see are all over the place. But other than having the ordinance and fining people, I just really don't know. And maybe that's another question for Tyler, if there's any way to, well, I don't know what the right word, step it up and go another level and try
Some of
to.
those ordinance have that though, where the fine is, let's say, $25, and then it increases to 50, then it goes to 150 from here on out, or.
I think the leash law does too. The one that Montgomery County adopted,
Yes.
I believe if an animal is out 3 times, then Kevin would go get the animals and take them to the animal welfare. That is my understanding. If
Yes.
there is a report with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office on 3 reports, then he can come and get the animals and take them to the Montgomery County welfare.
I know it's at least 2. And
Yeah.
I bet there's more.
And that was the thing that, Kevin had talked about, was that report has to, if they're not on call, it has to go through Montgomery County. Because then, and if they're not on, that's okay, because he has the ability as the marshal to go and pull those reports and still act on them, which was not something that could happen. I don't think that's always been that way. My understanding, I could be wrong on that, but he can go. So every time you
Yeah.
call, or
I mean,
Holly
at least
calls or
with,
somebody else
at
calls.
least with the sheriff's department, you're on dispatch.
Exactly.
You're on record.
So there's a record of that, and he
Yeah.
pulls that. And I thought that the county leashed the law. It's been a while, but
Now, you are on record too when you have our town marshals called out. If you go through dispatch,
Well,
there's a calls for service. I'm just saying, I mean,
okay,
there is a calls for service through dispatch.
right. If you call dispatch,
Yes, ma'am.
if I call Michelle and say, "Hey, tell
Yeah,
Kevin,"
Yeah, right.
I know you don't mean nothing, but I do.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess, and this is another thing, maybe I have to go through and look at some of these other numbers here. Is there a limit to the number of animals within town limits that a person can have?
We have that.
I do think there's something in there about breeding animals.
Okay.
I believe I read something about you can't breed animals. It is one of the
Either
ordinance.
on purpose or by accident? Both?
Yes. And
I think you all know what I'm dealing with,
Yeah.
what we're talking about. We have
Yeah.
eight, let me see, medium to large dogs. Shepherd mix, pit mix. None of them are spayed, none of them are neutered. There's periodically a litter of puppies. Never know what happens to them. They seem to disappear. A lot of them are younger dogs. Highly active, highly vocal, and can jump like nobody's business. And they will jump out of the pen, which is a makeshift pen made out of wooden skids and snow fence. The whole length of the backyard, using my fence and 2 of my neighbor's fence as 3 sides of that pen. And the dogs can bark. I was woken up at 5:30 last Saturday morning because one of them was in my driveway, and my windows open, in my driveway, barking at my driveway. I don't know. Comes around to my back door, barks, goes around and around and around. I called the sheriff's department. Unfortunately, the same deputy that I've talked to before was able to come out. I'm standing at my back door before he gets there. The dog's on my back door, on the sidewalk, barking at me through my door. I have video and I have pictures. You walk in my backyard, and all you smell is dog crap. I'm fed up. I don't know what else to do. And it just seems like, and they all work all three of them, I think, work at the mini mart. And they're taking the dogs one by one up to the mini mart while they're working and letting the dogs run around in the mini mart.
That would be a health code violation, so that's where that,
Well, Holly ran into that a couple of days ago. One of those young shepherds was in there and apparently jumped on Holly and maybe Adeline. Holly said she was going to turn them into health department. I don't know if she did or not, but I said you need to. And at that point,
You might be able to do something on that along that lines with your backyard, with their backyard also. You might check with the health department. I know, I have a friend of mine that's going through this right now. She's trying to find somebody, but she's in a different county to help out with the living conditions of certain animals. So you might check with them and see if they've got something they can do.
Let these guys talk. I digress. I came up here. I think I've made my point again.
I know.
We're trying, he is, I mean, I know it doesn't mean anything right now.
You know, and I just don't, the process of going through what, I think back to like when you're in human resources and you have
A complaint filed.
employee work, if they're late one time, they get a verbal. If they're late 3 times, they get a written. If they're late 5 times, you're out. How does this process work to where there's actually something finally done about the issue at hand?
well, with the progression of fines, I think most, now, knowing the situation, I don't know that it'll fix this situation, but in general, I feel like that the increasing fines is gonna probably get a majority of people to, fix whatever the problem is, make a better fence, get rid of whatever they need to do. But I don't think we can tell anybody how many animals we can have in their house. I think it's first call, like Nicole said, would be the health department with the smell. The second one would be, you might talk to the owner if you know her and say, hey, I don't appreciate your renters having I'm not saying that you shouldn't do anything, but I don't know how else. If it wasn't right on the property line, then it would be, to me, it would be cut and dry.
Absolutely.
Get
I
off my
totally get
property.
the fence
Get off
thing.
my property. So, like, bringing up that it is on, it might open you up to, having to move your fence.
Which, I get that. I just didn't know if there was something in writing about that. And I don't know if I, as a Montgomery County resident, because I live in Darlington, cannot call the Animal Welfare League. How can I can't call them to come out and pick up an animal running out, but surely I could call them and ask what they consider a hoarding situation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Sure,
because
Abby would answer that.
yes.
I don't feel like because we don't have a contract with them has anything to do with it.
No,
We all
no,
feel
no.
They get
We all
property
feel that
taxes
way.
funded
Yeah.
to the
I know.
Montgomery County
I know.
Animal
They should,
Shelter.
they should investigate.
They
it,
should,
but
by
if you
all
go in
means,
and
get
say,
out.
I'm concerned about this situation. There's 8 dogs in this backyard that's very small. The conditions for these dogs in the filth that they're probably in the backyard, because you can even smell it.
And the house,
Yeah.
because most of the day, I can't tell they're not on the same work schedules. So there's a lot of times that they are in a room in the house. And along with the 8 dogs, I've counted 5 cats. So it's got to be awful. All right.
I will ask Tyler on the nuisance thing and I'll let you know. I just need to ask him first. I know it's in there, I just don't know exactly where it is, so just to make sure.
Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
Next.
My name's Teach Smith, and I'm the building the big two-story beside the town building. And a few days ago, I had a brick layer that was gonna fix some of the sparrows that got in the arch and were pushing the brick out, and I was afraid he was gonna fall out. So I went down there and took some sawhorses and some traffic cones and blocked it off so somebody could park there for when he got there. Well, he put me off a couple days, but in the meanwhile, the town takes my sawhorses and traffic cones and just steals them or does something with them. So I called my lawyer, and he said that he would report it to the sheriff. So I did that.
Did you not get it back?
I did it like 3 days later, one morning, after I talked to the sheriff's department twice. But I don't think anybody had the right to take that stuff. Or somebody should have contacted me.
Or maybe contact the town to let us know that you're blocking off that so we would know.
Why you did it.
Like, because I don't know, I wasn't there at the situation. I think it comes down to, it sounds like from both sides, a lack of communication.
Right, well, there's also another problem with parking there. I mean, since we did away with the angle parking, which is, I think, completely crazy. There's 2 parking places there now, and there's 2 in front of the town building. Well, the people that work in the town building both park in front of my building. So anytime I want to go in my building or do anything, I've got to walk down to the alley or do something. So I see even at Palmer's, they've got marked spark parking and stuff. I guess I want to look in and get something marked, or I really think the town ought to go back to the angle parking on the one side of the road. Because I don't know, I heard that they changed that because of equipment, farm equipment coming through and stuff. But I've called probably 6 different farmers since I've started this process, and every one of them says it's not in town, it's down on the west side where they park on both sides of the road. And I went down there and measured that, and you've got 14 feet down there between vehicles, not including their mirrors, basically. So you can't get through there. 2 cars can't pass through there, and everybody knows that. I mean, you wait in line, you wait to get in or wait to go through that. And that's silly to have a main street of Darlington. You got to take turns. I mean, that's like the old one, the old bridges where you took turns or whatever. But the main part of town is set up for angle parking. I took my extended cab 4-door truck in there, and I parked it at an angle like it used to be. And there was a car across the way, and there's 21 feet in between there, which is God's plenty room. I live on 400 out there. 400 is 19 feet wide from grass to grass, and people pass on it at 60 mile an hour, 70 mile an hour, so there's plenty of room in town to have angle parking. The problem is on the west side of town, and I know that, I'm gonna say Kim Carpenter probably on sell on the board forever. I know she probably didn't want to see it because she probably didn't want to park in her driveway. But the other side all have driveways, alleys, side streets. That needs to be fixed. And then I think go back to angle parking. And then there'd be.
I was on the board when we changed that, and part of the reason was, if you have a regular sized car and you park 2 trucks parked on either side of you, you cannot see when you're backing out. You can't see if somebody's coming either way on the street. We had several people almost get hit, and little kids would run out, because right now there's 10 kids living down there.
Right.
You have little kids run out from between them, and if they're running the length of the truck, they're going to be clear out in the street before the person coming up or down the street sees them. That was the problem. That's why we changed it, because we kept
what's the
getting
speed limit?
complaints.
I would think the
We
speed
kept
limit.
getting complaints. What's the speed limit?
Well, it's just like you're coming on 400, nobody wants speed limit, right?
Yeah.
Well, I still say, I
see
mean, it's
20.
town. Nobody's really, I don't see people abusing speed through town.
I have
But
to
it just
disagree
caught-
with that one.
Yeah, I do too.
Well,
limit's
maybe.
20.
They go quick sometimes.
But it cut all the parking down to not enough. I mean, if I ever want to do anything with my building, I've got 2 parking spots. And that building used to be a hardware store, used to be an international dealership,
Sure.
and I'm sure more than 2 people has to park there. So I think you need to look at going, back to angle
Back to
parking
angle
on one
parking.
side. And like I say, I measured it with my truck, it's 4 doors long, and there's plenty of room there. I mean, wider than,
Yeah,
Any-
it wasn't
any
matter
road
if there
around
wasn't
town.
room, it was a matter that you couldn't see.
right,
You'd
well,
be out there
I mean,
and
look
get
at-
hit before you could,
do you ever
Well,
go to
let's-
Thorntown and eat?
yes.
I mean, they're
yes.
angle parked on both sides, and they get it figured out and back
Their
out,
street's a lot wider than
and
ours.
they come through there pretty fast, so.
Their street's a lot wider than
I
ours.
don't know,
It's
by the time you
state
angle park
highway.
both ways.
a state highway. We're not.
Like
Used to be.
Ladoga.
Yes, we
not
did
parking
until
like
they put 47 in. We used to be.
So I think someone ought to be seriously looking at that.
Okay,
But
well, we can take that into consideration.
The west side of town needs to
Oh,
be,
it is tight, yes.
well, you can't pass there. I mean, it's more
I
than
know, I
tight, you
live
can't,
there.
you wait in
I
line,
live
you wait
there.
till somebody comes through and then you go, and that's ridiculous for a main street in the Darlington. So yeah, I'm doing a little work on my building, and I was really disappointed on I don't know, just because I haven't used those parking spots ever since the parking went that way. And the one time I try to use them, I get made an example of or treated like a criminal or something because I'm trying to keep a brick from falling out on somebody's car or something. And I think that was just, I don't think it needed to. It seems like the town is always so negative about anybody that wants to do anything that, it kind of makes me think that, well, it's probably why Darlington's kind of a dying town. I mean, you see all these other towns that stuff's going on, and Darlington, the first thing you try to do something, and they're wanting to do, raise your higher priced electric bill because you're commercial, and do this and do that, and fart with you on every other thing you try to do. And I don't know. I think if you ever want anything more than kind of a dead town, you're going to have to look at some different, ways to meet people when they walk in the door of that office and stuff like that. Because I'm normally a pretty easy to get along kind of guy, but when you get basically yelled at as soon as you walk in that office, it really puts you in a pretty crappy mood.
Well, I'm sorry you've had that experience, and I'm glad that you've come to the board and told us how you feel about it, and you've given us some things to consider, and I appreciate it. I wish more people would do that.
Okay, well, I'm curious to see what comes of the angle parking because there's plenty of room. That's not and the kid thing, I don't know. I mean, I don't think if somebody got hurt or something, but I seen the 5 or 6 kids that are running there, and most of them are running up and down the
Sidewalks.
sidewalks
Most of
and
us live on
stuff.
the
And
sidewalk.
I mean, if they're
They
gonna run
just
out between a
moved
car,
in.
they're gonna run out between a car, no
They
matter
just
how
moved
they're
in,
parked.
that's what it is. And school's just out, so
Right.
we'll see how it goes this summer.
So what do I do to get a parking spot or 2 in front of my building?
Reserve.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know you're gonna be working on it,
Why do I have to do that?
well, it's in our ordinance that you can ask, if you're gonna be I'm just saying to guarantee while you're working on it, tell us, and we can,
Park.
vote to say those 2
Block
spots
off.
are blocked off or
I mean, that's how we
shut
do it in
down.
hardware stores between certain hours, during business hours is what his is, because the people from across the street were parking there. and
Right.
There was he's a business, so there was nobody could park there for
bank,
business.
too. It was the bank.
Yeah, the bank.
Yeah,
The bank, not the hardware, it was the bank.
And I really think if you look at the angle parking, you're gonna free up a bunch of that, and none of this will be a problem. But because I went from, I don't know, at least 4 parking spots to 2 in front of my building, and I know the town did the same thing. So now they're down to 2, and one's handicapped. But the town also has a parking lot behind the place, but I'm gonna be cleaning that building out and doing some
There's
stuff
no
with it.
parking
No,
lot
it's all,
behind the
it's all
building.
apartments now.
It's all,
There's
it's
no,
all
there's no more
apartments.
parking, it's all apartments.
There's still a little lot there. I mean, where the sheriff or the cop car stuff
Yeah,
is.
there's enough room.
And there's stuff across the street, but I'm gonna be cleaning that building out, but I'm not gonna wanna carry everything out of that building across the street.
That's why we're saying, we know, if we know the dates, we'll make sure, we'll keep it all blocked off for you.
Okay, well, I'm saying probably next 3 months.
Okay. For 3 months or in,
No, for the next 3
for
months
the
at
next
least.
3 months? Okay, okay.
I'm glad you got it.
Yes, I'm glad you're working.
Well, I'm not sure what I'm doing. I had to work on the brick and the block. And, I'm gonna try to paint it, and I'm not sure what I'm doing. Put apartments in it, I guess, like everybody else does.
There used to be 3 upstairs.
Yeah, I know, I tore all of them out.
Yeah.
I kinda regret that now.
Yes. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks,
That's-
Steve.
But we'll block it off for you. We have no problem about blocking that out. We're gonna be looking in and out of that. That's, you know,
that's what I'm asking, I guess.
I'm speaking for myself. I'm speaking for the board, but we have no problem doing that stuff. But because if your kid gets stuck, in and out of that front door, we're gonna have to have a place to park your vehicles to get that done.
All right,
Thank
Thanks.
you for
Thank
having
you.
me. Appreciate it.
You're
So
next.
you don't have to
That's-
stay, you don't have to stay.
Okay.
My name's Sam with TNS Trash Service, and I came this evening to talk. We are in a time now that makes it a little harder to operate, with fuel costs the way they are. You know, when we bid the contracts 8, 10 years ago,
10 years ago.
Yeah, it was
our fuel was less than $2.50 a
Oh,
gallon,
yeah.
and now we're paying $6 a gallon. And so I'm not asking for the town to bear the whole burden. It's still part of our burden. And so we're asking for an increase, a fuel surcharge. And I don't know why it's not in Darlington's contract. It's in most of our town contracts that we can add a fuel surcharge. If the fuel exceeds $2.90, we can add 2% for every 10 cents over $2.90, which is excessive in that side of the math. But with doing the math, I don't think diesel fuel is ever probably going to get back below $4 a gallon. And so if we was able to have a fuel surcharge of $4 a month per resident, and we could maintain that and use that $4 as a baseline, and if it ever did go, we could reduce the fuel surcharge, and we would maintain that, and it would hopefully keep the town from being on a roller coaster of, oh, I wonder what fuel is this month. We're trying to set the bar low enough that it will probably consist at least until the end of the contract, because time to review it, but it sure would make our burden of getting our job done a whole lot.
You're not alone. I know
No.
several people with diesel
It's-
it takes $300 just to fill up one time.
I burn
So-
2,000 gallons of diesel fuel a week,
Yeah.
and so that is a very big burden.
So is that something we have to, or contract, go through Tyler to?
Okay, so we have an ordinance, obviously, for the current contract you have. So you'll make a motion to approve the $4, additional $4, and then you will have to accept, you will have an amended ordinance on your July meeting.
Okay.
And then
Like a reading?
in July, yeah, you can have a reading, but to move this on in July, then you can actually suspend the rule and adopt it in the same meeting.
Okay.
But what will have to happen is, though, once you have that, because I have to have the signed minutes from July before I can make any changes, which I talked to Sam. Once I have those signed minutes, then I can send it to Keystone to put it in. So it wouldn't go into effect until August
So
by suspending it.
with that, because I would assume that's gonna get passed on to the citizens.
Instead of it being $10 a month, it'll be $14 a month.
I'm not gonna, doesn't matter to me, I want my trash picked up, so, but do we need to, like, put that out from a legal standpoint? We don't legally
I
have
think we're
to.
doing it
Nope.
right here.
Tyler said you
Well,
don't have to do that at all.
Well, I
Yeah,
just mean to give
Yeah.
people a chance. which,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't-
We have to give them a chance to get on the Darlington Chatter and complain about it.
Well, isn't that, I
It's
mean,
easy.
that
They just-
costs on the electric bill,
Yes,
isn't it?
it is.
So
Yes.
couldn't you put a note down at the bottom of the, like the month before, put a note at the bottom of the electric bill that,
Yeah.
you know, starting
Yeah, we'll let
next
them
month?
know, and we'll let them know in the newsletter and that kind of thing. But I can tell you, I called around just to see because I knew you were going to ask that question. More than likely, there isn't anybody cheaper than $14 a month. I mean, I did just because in case you asked the question, I just wanted to be ready.
I have no problem with
Yeah.
$4 on a personal level.
Yeah,
I just didn't know
you do not.
from a legal standpoint if we had to post it and
Nope.
give a chance for.
No, you just have to amend the ordinance that you currently have. If you agree with it, you agree with why he's doing it, you'll amend that ordinance, and then you will, like I said, you can suspend it in July so that we can go ahead and move it forward. So,
Before we do that, just since you're here and I hear a lot of people, what are the chances, or you're just totally not set up to do curbside recycling?
We are just not set up. And it's not that it cannot be done, it's so very expensive to do. Curbside is just as expensive as picking up trash. There used to be a market for it, and that was a great thing, and there used to be some state incentives to have those programs. That all went away. And so when it went away, and then when China stopped taking most goods, and now it's got to be all single, it's very hard to get.
I figured that was the issue because when we had our dumpster up there, when they wanted to triple our rate or quadruple our rate because of having to, yeah. So I have a lot of people ask me, and just since you happen to be here tonight, I thought I'd throw that out there.
It's a great idea, but taking that idea and making it work is
Gotta turn profit, or at least a little bit.
you got to even exactly. Yeah. So normally recycling, yes, that's something that could be done, but it's going to be the same rate all over again to do it. And so is the benefit, or if we get enough people on board that say, hey, yeah, I'll do the recycling, or we can set up a recycling route and put it out. But that's not out of the realm. We have a place to take the recycling to. Just the cost factor.
Yep. Thank you for that.
So I have a motion to amend the contract for TNS for the fuel surplus
Surcharge.
surcharge
$4.
of $4.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
So you're saying we don't have to have a special meeting, that means we do it.
yeah, you can suspend it in July and then adopt it. So it'll be
okay,
both
so
readings. That gives me a month to get it to Keystone, get it signed, and get it into the system. You don't need to. No, they've already done it. Unless you want to. No, they've already done it, so you're good. Just make sure that you know that we won't start collecting until August. Okay. Perfect.
That's not a problem. At least I know that it's out.
Yep.
So what we'll do is, so when it goes in effect, we'll monitor that $4 rate, and then, so if it takes 2 months to, if fuel prices do come down, then let's see for 2 months. We'll play it there.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay the rest of the meeting, or you're welcome to leave.
No, you're good, Tom, move it.
But not that good, huh?
Exactly.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Scott, I think it's your.
God, you're up. He's like, wait.
Were you sleeping over there?
Excuse me, no.
Just thinking about it.
So good to see everyone again. Last time I was here, which was at the May meeting, we talked about an on-call professional services agreement. So I did send a draft.
I sent it to them.
And the only comment was there is a clause in here about if there's ever, basically if it ever has to go, if there's an issue where the town we end up in court, let's say. The way it was written was that court hearing would happen in Marion County.
Oh, I'm sorry,
And
a neutral.
amend it to Montgomery County. So I did some research, and when you asked Michelle, so the reason that it's written as Marion County is our attorney, our corporate attorney is in Marion County. So he kind of wrote it that way so that he didn't have to travel. So it's funny, I talked to Tyler this afternoon, just by chance.
He don't want to travel either.
Just by chance. And he goes, well, I suggest Montgomery County, so I don't have to travel. So, and then I talked with our ownership, and it basically, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same state law, so it doesn't matter if it's in a court, in Montgomery County, Marion County, Boyce County. It does not matter. It's all Indiana state law. So, it was no big deal. So I did amend that to Marion County, or to Montgomery County. Sorry, Montgomery County. So I brought 3 copies that are executed. So if you're willing to execute that, what we can do is, if you want to sign multiple copies, and you'll have a copy, I'll have a copy, and then I can scan and send you an electronic copy, if that works.
Yes, please.
So it's on page 9. Those are exactly the same. The other thing to note on here is there was a time when we dated these annually. So it'd be like, for example, this one would be the 2026 on-call. But we've amended that, so we don't need to write it 2027. So there are, as with everything, rates increase year over year. That's all already in the document. So we don't technically have to reestablish a new contract for 2027.
And I seen the email, Michelle, to Tyler, that I didn't see, haven't been back on my email for a while.
Yeah.
He'd answer and say everything was good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I figured as much, but I
Does
didn't
anybody
see
have
that email.
No, yeah, he did.
Any concerns, anything else other than?
And again, this does not, there is no cost liability until we have a task order in place. So all this does is just establish, here's our rate sheet, and each task order is its own entity as an amendment to this. So it allows at any given time Brian or Michelle or anybody on the board to call and say, hey, we're having this problem, what can we do about it? And it kind of streamlines that.
It
My
probably
first
won't be all
question
of you.
isn't, well, what kind of proposals do we need to put together? So
Do we have to have 2 other people? I just noticed.
there's multiple lines, just one attest is fine.
Okay.
Give it back.
We don't have to make them, we already did this, right?
Yes.
You did not. You asked him to come up with a quote and a rate. So you just need to make a motion that you do accept his service agreement.
Okay.
I make a motion that we accept the service agreement.
Second.
Oh, we're United Consultants.
Okay, and you said second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
And then you can hold on to one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Have that one.
Thank you.
The other thing we discussed last time I was here was kind of just a general study outlook. So the first thing I'll say is, and that study was to kind of look at the system as a whole and say, hey, where does this sit? Where does this sit? What's kind of a punch list of those things? What kind of condition are we in? The hard thing with that is the scope that we look at. We can spend a little bit of money, or we can spend a whole lot of money, and I don't think anybody's interested in spending a whole lot of money. We're not interested in spending a whole lot of the town's money just to look at something. If we're going to spend the town's money, we want to get something at the end of it. So I kind of put a general scope together, just and put some cost to it. Kind of a bare bones. This is what we're looking at. Spend some time here with Brian and Troy and you, Mac folks. Spend some time with Michelle or you folks, whoever has the want to do that. We're probably somewhere between 12 and 15,000 just to provide a bare bones kind of study to address that and say, here's what we see at your plant. Here's what your operators are saying. There might be a punch list. Here's this lift station, this lift station, this lift station, and do it in a very general format. And we're willing to come in and talk to you folks about it and say, here's what we see. We can take you out there and show you what it is, explain it. That's fine.
So you're basically putting together a hit list, wish list, things that need upgraded or are going to need upgraded in the near future, and kind of so we have kind of a road
in a sense
track to like,
yes.
This is right. What we think the most important, this is what needs to work the most, then you need to figure out this. Is that what you're?
Yeah, and that would be in our opinion based upon what we hear from UMAC and Brian, and then there's nothing that says that it has to be done in that order, but we would kind of look at it from that standpoint. In a typical, we'll call it a PER, or preliminary engineering report, that we were submitting to try to get some kind of low interest loan or grant funding, there would be a lot of history and environmental work and all this. We're not proposing any of that at this stage. If we did that, it would be a pretty substantial effort, because we have to bring in other folks that do that kind of stuff. I don't think that's what they're looking for. So I just kind of looked at it at bare bones. I think the best thing forward is to come up with a scope, and then I can work with Michelle and Brian and kind of whittle that scope, and then come back and present it to you folks. Or if we want to sit down and have a scope session, we're willing to do that as well. I just want to make sure that everybody's on the understanding of what we're doing and what we're providing, because when you say, oh, we're just going to do a study, that could be this, or it could be this. And it makes it easier for us if we provide you with what you want. So, but I wanted to get back with you with kind of a bare bones kind of number for us to try to put something together. And I know it sounds like a lot of money, but at the end of the day, that little bit of planning gets you to the next step. So you guys tell me what you'd like to see, and we can put something like that together.
So is this something that, like, you give us the list? Is this something that, like, saying we don't need it, I'm trying to make sure, definitely know we need it. But is this like a preliminary step to even start writing grant requests and stuff like that? Like, does this have to be done in order for us to?
You would have to have
The
some.
short answer to what I think you're asking is that, hey, do I need to know everything I need to do before I can take the next step to try to write a report for a grant? No. The short answer is no. However, if you have, I'm just setting this out, so you have 10 different issues, whatever those are. Do you want to do one issue, 3 issues, to all 10 issues? If that's the case, then you would write the report around that, or you would write your grant application around those issues and that project.
So it'll probably give us an understanding of maybe how we want to go about the grant, maybe.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. That's the way, based on what your question was, that's the way if I'm understanding you correctly. Yes.
Okay.
So then let's say, there was 5 projects identified, and, we kind of looked at it and said, okay, these 5 projects we estimate to be, X dollars for each one, or whatever that is. And your budget is, well, we can't do number 1. Like, say number 1's a brand new wastewater treatment plant. That's millions of dollars, and I don't think that's on anyone's plate today. Maybe tomorrow, but not today.
I get it.
But maybe item 3 is rehabbing the lift station down here on the west end of town. And that is, that's a bite you can take. Then we would take that project and we can modify that to get you to the next step and get the appropriate folks involved, grant administrators, whoever that might be at that point, to say, okay.
This report will have estimates on it. I mean,
it'll have.
Obviously, you got to get estimate if you decide to move forward, but it'll have your thoughts.
Correct. Yes.
Educated.
Yes.
Numbers of what a realistic.
Yes.
Somewhat realistic numbers.
Yes, that would be the intent. Yes.
And what's the worst to the best, right? like, let's say lift station 4 is the worst and, hey, 2's not too bad. You're gonna, if you do that, you're gonna put it in, here's where I think you should concentrate on first. Here's what you can wait on type.
Yeah, I think what I envision with it,
Prioritizing.
yeah, what I would envision with it is we would kind of evaluate the system, and then we'll call it each issue, for lack of a better term, we would assign a criticality to it. So
Okay.
maybe like a 1 to 5.
Yeah.
1 being not critical, 5 being very critical, and then you can, that way you're not, because it comes back to dollars, right? So if you have 2 or 3 that are, say, maybe 3 to 5 on the criticality range, maybe you can't afford number 5, the one that's hitting a 5, but you can afford a 3, and then that takes one off the list, and you kind of work that way. Or depending on how they go together, there's a lot of, once we kind of establish what we see issues are, then we can regroup and say, all right, well, here's how we want to attack that. It's very iterative, because also things change very quickly. So let's say you move forward with this and we get this done in the next 90 days or whatever it is, and then we're talking back and forth on, we want to go this route, but then the 40-acre parcel that's in corn right now gets sold, and it's going to get developed into a housing addition, which you have to then accept. Or they come to you to say, hey, can the town of Darlington accept this? And then it becomes a different situation.
Your list moves around.
Correct.
Now the lift station or the plant
Yeah,
has
maybe the
has
plant's the
adopted
issue, or
it.
maybe the main lift needs to be upgraded to accept that. So it kind of ebbs and flows. So you have that wish list, but you also have to be reactive to changes that happen in town. So that's kind of what I envision with that. And what I can do is put a scope and proposal together as a task order 1, and then work back and forth.
It's
to
kind of
define
nice
that
too,
scope.
because we can, if, I'm just using 4 just because if you put your scope together, then we can look and see, well, how much money are we spending on that? Are we band-aiding it? Are we putting
Right.
more, $6,000 in it a month, but if we went this route, we wouldn't be. So I think that that's handy and helpful too, because there's a lot with wastewater that, I don't want to say gets band-aided, but it keeps doing the same thing, or over and over. You keep
Right.
doing, like getting the new generator or doing things, those upgrades save you money in the long span of what you're doing and, just trying to keep it going or.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of ebb and flow that has
Yes.
to happen.
Yes.
So I can do that with your permission. I'll put a scope together
Is that
and
what
then
you
we
want?
can talk through that.
You said it was
Well,
between 12 and 15.
That's what I think we can do, kind of as a minimum, to try to evaluate the entire system. And that's
Yeah. It's almost, Michelle says we have.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on I definitely think it needs done, because I think that's one of those things that's gonna hold the town back from getting a little bit, not that I really wanna be Lebanon by any means, but they're already in Town, so it's just a matter of time before maybe 20 years, but it's coming.
I will throw this out. I don't know how much this is happening now, or what funds are available, but there are planning grants available, and they're low dollar, but they would fund kind of that preliminary end. I can do a little more research into it and kind of see if that makes sense, but that may not make sense until we get to that, hey, we want to do this project. But let me do some research into it and kind of see, and that might be something you can bring into the equation.
Okay.
And it may be able to cover something like this and give you a little bit more. I know it used to be like $30,000 planning grants, which you can't do a whole lot for that, but you can do enough. So
I think you can. I mean, the problem with wastewater is I don't know what bill's hanging out there, but I can look at the balance all day long. But I think you need to start somewhere? Yeah, I do. I mean,
So do I have a motion to have United Consulting, form a scope? Is that what we're gonna call it,
scope of services.
scope of services?
I make a motion to have United Consulting do a scope of service for our wastewater system, not to exceed $15,000.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Great.
Get that together and then just send it back through Michelle. and-
Yes, please. Sure, yes.
Okay. Is there any other
Thanks, Scott.
questions or anything like that?
Come in closer to 12, it'd be even better.
We'll do the best we can.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Scott.
you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. You'll leave when I leave. You don't
Okay.
care.
So we're up to approval of minutes, so I have a motion to approve regular meeting minutes from May 7th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for May 7th.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? You.
Huh?
I was making sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Keeping up.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Money matters, so I have a motion to approve all money matters.
Make a motion to approve money matters.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Speed board, I think they're still working on getting the part, right? Still waiting on that.
I don't know, but I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, we're gonna keep these there on the.
You've got your
Yeah.
spreadsheet?
report.
AT&T. Let's talk about AT&T just for a little bit.
Well, have you noticed that all of a sudden we're having issues now?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not
I mean,
surprised.
I know we have, but it seems like it's gotten worse.
Yeah. So Bob and I took a bunch of are they modems? Would you say, Bob? Is that what you did? And we took them to we hooked them up to the town hall here, the park, wastewater, and they worked down at the town hall. They had a decent little speed. Did not work here. Did not work at the park. Did not work at wastewater at all. Just not at all. The guy that I'm working with, his name's Dan Faraday. He's actually I would say he's a subcontractor, but so basically he has what's provided in Darlington, whether it would be Xfinity, AT&T, Verizon's an out. What's the other one?
Starlight.
Thank you, Starlink. Yeah. So he said, all right, let's ship those back. So I did ship those back to him. Right now we have a work order in for Xfinity to see if they can come into the town hall. Xfinity.
Okay.
I know it's because they're the second one that provides service. Starlink does look good. There's nothing about that, but they have tiers that you have to pay. And so I would say for your home or your resident, definitely that's a good one. But for here and the park, wastewater doesn't need anything out there. They're like, you can get rid of it. We don't need it. Great. So I got rid of it and it's gone. We don't have anything out there. We obviously have to have something in this building because of this right here. And that's where we're at with it. I don't know yet if Xfinity can come here. I have no idea. Even though they are in the town of Darlington, they're not everywhere as far as fiber. Yeah, but they're just not located everywhere in town. That's the issue.
Yeah, you have to check. to make
yeah.
sure what street we wrote down.
So, I'll know more about that as soon as he gets back with me. I'm just sitting here in idle zone right now, but yeah, it's a work in progress. So we'll see. We may have to. Well, yeah, but nothing. Yeah.
Right.
So that's what I got on that. Brian's meeting. I've already done my part for the community crossing grant. Brian will be meeting with the guy to discuss roads and what we're looking for in the fall. So that's still up there. Tyler sent out an email on Academy Place, the one that he filed when Mike was doing code enforcement last year, and it went to court because they didn't do their due diligence and I had to go to court and all that. So Tyler is following up with that. It's in an email, or it'll be coming in an email, the second part of that, what's going to be happening with it. So whether that will change with the whole code enforcement thing with what the officers can do now, though. So
Anything different in town?
nothing that we haven't covered.
Wastewater?
I don't have anything on.
Electric and BH, anything?
I have Brian's. Yeah. Hang on a minute. Okay. I think you've probably seen I throw out on the Darlington chatter, we're going to start tree trimming in town. The 10-foot alley, just trying to leave that 10-foot alley space open because they'll be coming down the alleys or coming in backyards to do that. Tentatively set for next week, but something could happen. So if you see them, that's what we're doing. That's going to start that. The smart metering, we still have 2 meters in. We're going to read them, see what they read this week or this month on the 15th, on June 15th. We'll see how far that expands out. And Keystone's working on their side of it, which is my software company, and then the guy with the smart meters is too. So they're doing their technology part of it. Just for these 2 meters, but it won't matter when we add the rest. Obviously, I am a big fan of getting them all to be a smart meter because that's going to be a win-win for the town. It really will be. So I think we'll probably have a better report on that, maybe July, of how those worked out and see where they're going. I think that's all he gave me. MVH, we don't have an update on anything for MVH. Brian's not going to be a huge fan of going back to angled parking. I will tell you that right now, even though he's not sitting here. Not because of the work, because of the issues. Well, Judy's car got wiped out on an angled parking. Somebody just got over too far and wiped out her car. So keep that in mind. I mean, before you.
Where are we at on the wire spool wagon?
He's got it. It's done. Oh yeah. He's got the trailer. He's got the he's got it out there. Yep. Yeah. I don't think he had it because prices haven't given him a time frame for the thing yet. So.
Well, after the last meeting, he told me he planned on being here.
Yeah, when he had told that to, no. I don't know. But that's all I believe that he had, unless something comes to mind before we get done.
I did see 2 semis in town back to that today.
Yeah, I did too.
That's all it was. I kept coming out and it was semi then a dump truck, semis and dump trucks. I mean,
There
There was no
cars.
dump trucks. This was a semi.
Yeah.
carrier.
I've seen some
They're
going.
coming off of 231 now, coming in Cassidy Road.
Mhm.
Coming right in town, turn right, going out towards the.
Yep.
I don't know how they enforce it on that side.
I believe Brian ordered a sign to put over there. But here's the problem. We only have the bridge. So they're already committed to Larry,
Yeah.
the bridge.
That's it, yeah, well,
So we have to get with the county.
Yeah, talk to Jake. He surely let us put one down.
Yeah.
625.
That's what's going to have to happen because they are already
right.
committed.
Yeah.
So if you do that, let me know, Jeremy. Because the other sign has to go to the road that turns into the bayou because they try to go through there and then realize they can't go over the bridge. So, that's where the other one's going.
GPS for you right there. I see semis like that all the time on back roads. I'm thinking, you don't belong out here.
Yeah, their GPS does take them to some crazy places, that's for sure, so.
You're not a car.
Yeah.
The thing is they have the technology out there now that will tell you you can't drive through this town. It's way restricted road.
Yeah.
So, but,
Yeah.
They
So,
figure they can speed through.
I think we've talked enough about the town marshals the other day.
Yes.
Is everybody in agreement with our police department absorbing the ordinance?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I think that just makes sense, and maybe it'll free up,
It'll go
not
better.
that Mike, we had a lot of money going out towards that, but that can maybe, the funds can be utilized.
well, I think the other even above the money to me is that they're like it'll speed up the process.
I agree.
Yeah,
Because they can actually write a ticket.
Right.
Somebody's not going
Yeah.
to give a warning and then have to go
Well,
wait for,
Yeah, right.
It
Okay.
looks
Do we need to
official,
vote?
it
Do
looks
we need to
official when it's the.
Do we need an official motion that they take it over, or just, okay?
We got it.
can we make the time shorter that they have to respond, like just give them this amount of time to respond?
I think that Kevin's taking care of that,
Okay,
but I'll find out for sure. But I think he was gonna take care of that, mostly because there's always one of them on this week, and then there's somebody on the next week, so they'll do the follow-up with that. That's why he's going in to verbally say, to knock on the door and verbally say, hey, this is what you need to do,
Right.
and have it done by, actually talk to him rather than do the paperwork and
And
stuff.
I agree with that, I mean, I like that.
Well, it works much better, it worked when Jim was doing it. It really did, he did a good job and it worked
people
better.
respond when a police officer.
They really do.
It's a little more
Yeah.
official.
Yeah.
Right, and nothing against Mike, but yeah, I mean.
No.
Well, that was Mike's frustration, was that
Absolutely
he
had to be.
served the same people over and over and over again.
Right.
It didn't matter,
Right.
so, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Art. Mr. Cash.
Dog shit in the park.
Yeah.
I know we're live, but I'm tired.
I know. It's on the track.
That's frustrating. The track, the
walk and they
infield
leave
by
it on
the
the track.
bases. Come on, I mean, that's just, you're a different breed if you're doing that.
It's
So-
just so
we
disrespectful.
There's signs about every 25 feet that say, please pick up
I
after your
know
pet.
that is, but I thought Michelle said you got some cameras or you would like to get some.
Well, Kevin's working on that. No, we don't know the status of that. He's been working on it for a couple of months because he wants them to be the same cameras that are down here, there, because he's going to use them, and we need to light that fire because we need those cameras. We do, because that's the issue. And they have to be, the ones he's wanting to get is for the very reason that if somebody's on that camera, we can find them.
Yeah.
Where
Right.
prior Marshall said, nope, you can't use the cam because you can't actually see or whatever. So he was going to try to get something that we can zoom in.
2026.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. And now,
And then
If
the
you see
other
this
issue is
person-
the Wi-Fi with that, because I got cameras up now, I can see these two, and if I move the router, I can see those two, but I can't see everywhere.
so we'll probably do the Starlink at the park because
It's
it'll be
just-
the best one to use there because it's got the best speed and it has the best, we feel like it'll have the best with the cameras and stuff. You have the,
So Cody gonna get a hold of Kevin.
Yeah, I'm gonna send him an email.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
well, and I didn't do it today, but I went up there to take some checks to the other two that are working with Bob, and the whole playground was, I pulled, what'd I tell you, 18 empty water bottles I picked up. They're just throwing them on the trash. I almost took a picture and put it on the chatter. Come on, do better, but that's one of the things too. So people, and there's like 6 trash cans. It's not like you can't find a trash can. Oh,
Well,
plenty.
There's a new group of kids playing up there, I don't know where, I've seen them downtown here running around. 6 to 8, 10 of them that run together and they just throw stuff
They
everywhere, take the lids off the trash can. Not the trash, or just stupid stuff.
And Kevin dealt with them. He has dealt with them a couple of times already with writing on the bank wall with sidewalk chalk. So
Okay.
yeah, it's not. But they don't want that though, obviously. So he's And it's the same. And then Brian dealt with them on here because they broke a pipe off over on this flat little roof. So they are under watch, but not enough, obviously. The covered bridge, and you can come in on this, Bob, but we had two things with the covered bridge. We have logs that are in the creek that are against the, is it embankment or embankment or embankment or
Yeah,
whatever?
it's
They
just
are.
a big log jam there. In the
Yeah.
middle.
Tree.
So
There's a whole tree on
we,
Well, there's about 4 of them against
Yeah.
that. It's not.
Yeah. but
so
on
we
that
need to
one
get
side-
it off of there. And the covered bridge has money in its own fund. But the problem is when it's sitting in the water, it's a whole different ballgame. Like, you can't, just take things out to the water to remove things, right?
Is it anywhere where Brad or Mark's got a big old long?
I don't know how far he can reach. So
Brad's probably got a 20-foot, but I feel like Mark's got either a 36 or a 40-foot.
it'd be close.
Yeah, I mean, if one of them would go look at it, just say, hey,
I'll get
because
a hold of
we, like I said, there's money there for them to go in and pull that off of there or whatever, but like he can't take a chainsaw and go into the creek and just do it.
I'm positive if Mark always has that long stick or not, or if he just gets it when he needs it.
Would you be willing to ask
I'll
him?
call both of them.
Appreciate that because it needs to come off.
I
Because
know Jason doesn't have anything that big.
appreciate that. The second thing is the historical sign. Kim had it all done when she was on the board, and I forgot about the historical sign. I don't know if you guys remember, but she had it all done. And I texted her and I said, because somebody asked where it was. Somebody came in and wanted to know why it wasn't up, and I was like, yeah. And so it's in the toll house. Brian went down there, sent a picture. So Bob and Carl's working with Bob. Carl Hampton is now. He's working part-time up there with Bobby. And so they're going to take an auger. We've got an auger and put a hole in and cement it in. And so we'll get the pole and the sign back up and, get that going. I just told him that when he got home tonight that we got to do that. He pulls in. I'm like, oh, we got a list of stuff. So that'll be happening in case somebody asks. I want to. I know I haven't told you this because we didn't really have a lot of time. But the monument at the park. I don't know if anybody's walked by the monument, been by the monument, but if you've done the festival, it smells like cat urine. It's horrible. I want to know if we could get an estimate to remove the bushes, because the cats obviously love the bushes. They went up in them, they've killed them, they're living in them, and that includes the trees.
They're not very nice.
If we could get an estimate on some landscaping for that monument, I know that it's not, obviously they got,
Something that cats won't be on.
right, that's why I'm saying I got to get an estimate because somebody's going to be a little more knowledgeable of that. I know what I've taken out of my house and our house, but I'm like, I don't know enough up there. But they're, the big tall, they've destroyed they're going to die. The big long tall trees or whatever, they're just dying. It smells so bad. It's cleaned out right now for people, but I can't explain to you how bad it smells. So, can I at least get an estimate and bring it to the council just to see? Because like Riverboat or CCD, that's for property.
Just thinking about it, would it be better to not put mulch in it and maybe put like river rock or something?
There is no mulch in it.
There is none left.
I mean, it's whatever was in there when they did it.
We haven't put.
No,
It was
no.
last year they were digging
Yeah.
up underneath of all of that. So
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, we've not done that just for that simple fact. That's why all of the landscaping's gone by the large shelter, because you couldn't even rent the large shelter. It smelled so bad. Just bring an estimate from maybe a couple of people. I don't even know if I can get anyone, but I feel like I can.
Corey.
Yeah, that was one of them.
Corey and Sugar Creek.
Yeah, just to say, hey, what would it? Could you put something in here that's less cat tolerant? And,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
okay, if we can't afford it, we can't afford it.
Sure,
But
at least we'll
But
know.
like I said, you have like Riverboat and CCD to improve properties and stuff like that.
You want one of us to call?
Oh, I'll call them. I don't care. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on it.
That'd be nice.
Okay. All right. That was the other thing. So, we obviously have the garage sale coming up June 20th. I guess it's not much of my turn, is it? We were under code enforcement. So. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm just going down my list. So we got the garage sale coming up June 20th. Then we got the big trash day. I do have people besides Bob and I. We're going to take around the trailer and try to help people to get stuff to the park. not just elderly, anybody. If you just don't have a way to get it up there,
Truck or something
yeah,
like that,
just,
right.
yeah, so we put it out there, call us, we'll get it up. I've got other people to volunteer, and, that way maybe
Yeah,
we can,
that was one of my questions, because Mary next door asked me, she has a swing and a wheelbarrow. And she says, I can't get it in my car.
yeah.
And she said,
If she would just call us and give us, let us have the address.
If it's metal, I'll have Pete talk to her, but if it's metal, I'll have a guy that'll come for that. The swing and
The
Yeah.
swing's not metal.
it's not.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, just let me know, And I told Kevin that we were doing that, so maybe while he's out code enforcing,
You can kind of, yeah.
kind of tied in, hey, if you can get rid of this or that or whatever.